Inside Stiles Unit Prison, Texas, gang rule behind bars. There are prisons people fear because of the crimes committed inside them. And then there are prisons feared because of what they turn men into. Deep in southeast Texas stands the Stiles Unit, a maximum security prison with a reputation that spread far beyond its walls. To the public, it was another correctional facility built from concrete, steel, schedules, and policy. But to many who lived inside it, Stiles was something else entirely. It was a place where official rules existed on paper, while another set of rules lived in the shadows. A place where silence could be safer than conversation. A place where one wrong debt, one careless stare, one poorly chosen alliance, could alter the next 10 years of a sentence. Some prisons punish freedom. Others punish weakness. And inside Stiles, weakness was often the first thing hunted. Before we continue, subscribe for more true crime and prison documentaries, and comment where you are watching from. The Stiles Unit is located near Beaumont, Texas, in a region known for heat, industry, and a dense correctional presence. Officially, it houses serious offenders under high-security conditions. Its design reflects control: layered fences, controlled movement, surveillance points, reinforced housing areas, and routines meant to manage hundreds of men with violent histories. But buildings never tell the full story. The true atmosphere of a prison is built by tension, memory, hierarchy, and reputation. And Stiles developed a reputation many inmates knew before they ever arrived. When transfer buses moved through the Texas prison system, names of units carried meaning. Some facilities were known for calmer programs. Some were known for age or overcrowding. Some were known for staff discipline. Stiles was often spoken of in another category. A place where gang influence was strong. A place where politics mattered. A place where men learned quickly, or paid for learning slowly. Even before the bus doors opened, some inmates already understood they were entering a prison where the state controlled the gates, but not always the culture. Arrival is one of the most dangerous moments in any prison sentence. A man enters carrying property bags, paperwork, and assumptions. He may believe strength means acting tough. He may think silence makes him invisible. He may imagine everyone will leave him alone if he minds his business. Inside a place like Stiles, those beliefs are tested immediately. The first hours are observation. Who arrived with him? How he walks. How he speaks. Whether he looks frightened. Whether he claims a neighborhood. Whether he has gang tattoos. Whether he appears naive enough to manipulate. Experienced inmates can read these details fast. Sometimes faster than intake staff. A new arrival may not realize he is already being evaluated by multiple people at once. Not because everyone wants violence. Because prison runs on information. A man with outside money may become a target for extortion. A man with gang ties may become useful. A man with no affiliations may be pressured later. A man pretending to be harder than he is may be challenged sooner than expected. This is why the opening days matter so much. Before a sentence becomes routine, identity is negotiated. And in hard prisons, that negotiation can be brutal. The first night can be longer than the first year. Noise never fully stops. Steel doors slam in the distance. Voices echo down tiers. Someone curses through a vent. Someone laughs too loudly. Someone pounds on metal because anger needs sound. The newcomer lies awake and listens. He thinks about the crime, the judge, the family, the years ahead. But then another realization arrives. The court sentence was only the beginning. Now comes the sentence inside the sentence. How to live among strangers who study weakness. How to navigate men with nothing to lose. How to survive a culture where respect, fear, race, and reputation often carry more weight than official policy. By morning, sleep may never have come. And yet morning in prison waits for no one. The daily rhythm of Stiles began early. Count, movement, chow, work call, recreation, lockdown, count again. From the outside, routine looks boring. Inside prison, routine is the battlefield where power expresses itself quietly. Who cuts line? Who gets corrected? Who owes commissary? Who avoids eye contact? Who suddenly changes tables? Who stops going to yard? Every movement can mean something. In gang-heavy environments, ordinary actions often carry coded meaning. Sitting with the wrong group can be interpreted as affiliation. Accepting a gift can become obligation. Refusing an order can become disrespect. Even walking confidently can attract challenge if done carelessly. That is why many long-term survivors move with precision. Not too timid. Not too bold. Not too social. Not too isolated. Just enough presence to avoid being tested, and enough caution to avoid becoming visible. That balance can take years to learn. Some never do. Few places reveal prison structure faster than the Chow Hall. Rows of tables appear ordinary, but invisible boundaries often shape where people sit. Race, neighborhood, alliances, gang lines, old conflicts, and unit politics can all influence seating patterns. A newcomer who sits anywhere without understanding this may accidentally announce a position he never intended to take. Meals are also where rumor spreads fastest. Who got into a fight? Who was searched? Who is in debt? Who is hiding? Who is marked? Who transferred in from another unit carrying old problems? Information passes tray to tray, glance to glance, whisper to whisper. And because everyone must eat, everyone enters the same arena. Many assaults in prison history have begun over moments outsiders would dismiss as trivial. A stare held too long. A shoulder bump. A stolen dessert. A disrespectful joke. But these incidents are rarely about the object itself. They are about status. In environments built on dominance, small moments become symbolic tests. Ignore disrespect, and others may see weakness. React too strongly, and consequences escalate. Inside Stiles, many inmates learned the meal was never just a meal. It was theater, politics, and risk management served 3 times a day. The yard offered space, air, and danger. To outsiders, recreation seems like relief from confinement. And it was. Men could move, exercise, feel sunlight, hear open air instead of steel echoes. But yards are also where prison society becomes visible. Groups form naturally and strategically. Some walk track discussing business. Some exercise in disciplined circles. Some stand watch while others talk. Some remain alone, trying not to appear lonely. Here, rank can be seen without words. Who approaches who first? Who receives greetings? Who is ignored? Who gets moved aside? And here, conflicts can be settled beyond the hearing range of crowded cell blocks. Some fights happen openly. Others begin with a quiet conversation ending badly. Some are ordered by leadership to enforce debt or discipline. Others explode from personal grudges carried across multiple units. Staff monitor constantly, but no prison yard can be understood fully from a tower. The most important conversations are often the shortest ones. And what begins on the yard may continue later in showers, cells, corridors, or future transfers. Power inside prison does not always look violent. Often it looks administrative. Someone keeps lists. Someone tracks debts. Someone decides who is in good standing. Someone passes instructions. Someone collects payment through commissary, intimidation, or favors. These systems can resemble street organizations, but prison pressure sharpens them. Loyalty is enforced in close quarters. Failure cannot be hidden easily. Punishment can be immediate. Messages travel through notes, coded language, shouted phrases, recreation contacts, and informal couriers. A man may wake up not knowing he has already been discussed by people he has never met. That is one of the unsettling truths of gang influence behind bars. You do not need to know the system for the system to know you. And once attention turns your direction, avoiding it becomes difficult. Correctional officers in high-security prisons work under conditions many outside people underestimate. They manage crowded populations with limited trust, shifting tensions, and the constant possibility that ordinary moments may turn dangerous in seconds. Good officers learn patterns. They notice who skipped Chow unexpectedly. Who stopped speaking to usual associates. Which tier has gone strangely quiet. Which inmate suddenly requests protective custody. Which group changed workout schedules. Because in prison, behavior changes before violence appears. The challenge is that officers enforce official order while informal inmate systems operate simultaneously. An officer can command movement. He cannot instantly erase gang politics. He can confiscate weapons. He cannot remove every grievance. He can separate combatants. He cannot always know who ordered the conflict. That gap between visible control and hidden control defines many dangerous prisons. And Stiles was often described through that gap. Contraband is more than forbidden property. It is power. A sharpened metal object can change hierarchy overnight. A cell phone can connect prison life to street networks outside the fence. Tobacco can become currency. Drugs can create dependence and debt. Chargers, batteries, food items, gambling slips, even extra hygiene products can be traded strategically. Where legal access is limited, illegal markets grow naturally. And where markets grow, enforcement follows. Searches are constant because administrators understand this reality. Cells are inspected. Common areas are swept. Intelligence units track patterns. Surprise operations disrupt routines. Yet prisons also generate ingenuity. Items can be hidden in walls, plumbing cavities, legal folders, clothing seams, electronics, and places so simple they are often overlooked. Each seizure removes one threat. But another may already be circulating. That endless cycle wears on staff and inmates alike. Because everyone knows scarcity never ends demand. Every prison has locations people mention in lowered voices: blind stairwells, showers, storage corridors, movement tunnels, corners between cameras. These spaces matter because accountability weakens there. An assault in such places may last seconds. By the time response arrives, participants have scattered or witnesses remember nothing. Victims then face a difficult calculation: report the attack and risk retaliation for informing. Stay silent and risk appearing vulnerable to future predators. This is how violence sustains itself without constant headlines. Not through non-stop riots. Through smaller incidents that teach lasting lessons. No one will help you. No one saw anything. Handle your own problems. For some inmates, those lessons harden them. For others, they damage trust permanently. To survive prison chaos, many men become obsessed with routine. Wake at the same time. Exercise daily. Clean obsessively. Read on schedule. Write letters regularly. Organize every item. Control speech. Control emotion. These habits are not meaningless discipline. They are psychological defense. In a world where almost everything is decided for you, self-imposed order restores fragments of agency. Some of the calmest inmates are not calm by nature. They are disciplined by necessity. Without routine, the prison can invade the mind completely. Idle hours create anxiety. Gossip creates conflict. Boredom creates bad decisions. Routine creates distance. And distance can preserve sanity longer than strength ever could. Not every story inside Stiles was gang rule and violence. Prisons also contain people trying to become something different from the person who entered. Some study law for appeals or to help others file paperwork. Some earn educational certificates. Some read history, religion, business, language, anything that expands a shrinking world. Some older inmates warn younger men away from gangs because they know the price too well. These quieter transformations rarely become famous. There is no dramatic footage of a man choosing patience over rage. No headline when someone spends 5 years avoiding trouble and earning credentials. Yet those decisions may matter more than the fights. Because prisons eventually release many people. The question is whether they release someone more disciplined or more dangerous. Inside harsh environments, both outcomes are possible. And sometimes they exist in the same person. Faith often becomes important behind bars. For some, religion offers genuine repentance. For others, structure and belonging. Prayer times create rhythm. Teachings create boundaries. Community offers support where family contact is limited. But prison complicates everything. Even sincere change may be questioned. Is the person seeking protection? Trying to improve parole optics? Escaping old conflicts through a new identity? Or truly changing? In prison, motives are constantly analyzed because deception is common. Yet many former inmates describe faith as one of the few forces that interrupted cycles of violence in meaningful ways. Not perfectly. Not universally. But enough to matter. Enough that hardened men sometimes chose humility where pride once ruled them. And in prison, that can be a radical shift. Night reveals the emotional cost of incarceration. When doors close and movement stops, distractions disappear. The mind gets louder. Regret returns. Fear returns. Memories return. Men shout through doors to stay connected. Others curse to release frustration. Some laugh because silence feels dangerous. Some cry quietly where no one can see. Others lie awake replaying old crimes, lost relationships, or tomorrow's threats. A man owing money may dread morning count. A man expecting retaliation may listen to every footstep. A man nearing release may fear sabotaging himself at the last moment. Confinement is physical by day. At night, it becomes psychological. And long sentences are often survived one dark evening at a time. When tensions rise, entire sections may be locked down. No yard. No work. No normal movement. Meals through slots. Hours stretch into days. Lockdowns are designed to restore order, but they create another pressure chamber. Rumors spread faster than facts. Men trapped in cells replay insults, debts, and unfinished conflicts. Some welcome lockdown because it pauses violence. Others fear the reopening more than the closure. Because when doors finally open, unresolved problems walk out with everyone else. And what was delayed may return harder than before. B-roll, slow aerial pullback from Stiles Unit at sunset. The prison shrinks against endless Texas land. So what made Stiles Unit feared? Not only fences. Not only security level. It was the collision of official punishment with unofficial power. A place where the state imposed sentences, but inmate systems often shaped daily reality. Where survival required reading rooms, managing ego, avoiding traps, and understanding that danger rarely announced itself loudly. Some men entered violent and left more violent. Some entered reckless and left disciplined. Some lost themselves entirely. And some discovered the hardest prison walls were never concrete or steel, but the invisible rules built when hope becomes scarce. Long after release, many carry those rules with them. That may be the sentence no judge ever wrote. But to understand why Stiles Unit became feared, you have to look beyond violence itself. Violence is often the final act. The real story begins much earlier. It begins with pressure. With systems that reward intimidation. With young inmates arriving unprepared. With older inmates who have already accepted prison as permanent reality. With gangs that promise safety while demanding obedience. With boredom so severe that conflict becomes entertainment. And with a prison culture where many men believe reputation matters more than tomorrow. That combination can turn ordinary days dangerous. And inside Stiles, ordinary days were often where the real damage happened. One of the most vulnerable figures in prison is not always the weakest man. It is often the inexperienced one. A young inmate entering a hardened unit may arrive carrying street confidence. He may think prison works like the neighborhood he came from. He may believe toughness, anger, or charisma will translate behind bars. Sometimes it does not. Street status can disappear the moment gates close. Money means little if no one can access it. Friends on the outside cannot walk the tier with you. And pride can become expensive quickly. Young inmates are often tested early. Can they be manipulated? Can they be recruited? Will they gamble? Will they borrow? Will they react emotionally to insults? Will they panic under pressure? If the answer to enough of those questions is yes, their sentence becomes harder. Many older inmates understand this pattern immediately. Some exploit it. Others warn against it because they once made the same mistakes. But youth rarely listens easily to lessons that sound like fear. And prison often teaches the lesson anyway. Age changes prison behavior. Older inmates who have spent years inside often move differently. They speak less. Watch more. Avoid pointless drama. They know how quickly a minor issue becomes a disciplinary case, medical emergency, or added years. Some become mentors in their own way. Not soft men. Not harmless men. But men who understand waste. They have seen decades disappear over ego, gambling debts, revenge, and impulsive violence. They know many prison legends are built from foolish decisions retold as bravery. So they advise younger inmates to stay out of debt. Avoid unnecessary friendships. Keep your area clean. Respect boundaries. Leave emotions alone when possible. Yet advice inside prison competes with another force. The need to belong. And for many younger inmates, belonging can feel more urgent than wisdom. That is where gangs often enter the story. Gangs inside prison are rarely only about violence. They are about identity, protection, economics, and structure. A new inmate with no allies may feel exposed. A gang offers numbers. Shared rules. Familiar language. A sense that someone will respond if he is targeted. For a man surrounded by strangers, that can feel like safety. But safety inside gangs often comes with debt. You may be expected to fight someone you do not know. Carry messages you do not understand. Hide contraband you do not own. Contribute commissary you cannot afford. Accept punishments for mistakes you did not make. And once commitment is visible, leaving can be dangerous. This is why some former inmates describe prison gangs as insurance policies that slowly become mortgages. At first, they reduce fear. Later, they own your decisions. Inside units like Stiles, where gang presence carried weight, that trade-off shaped countless lives. Commissary may seem minor from outside prison. Snacks, soap, writing supplies, coffee, toothpaste. Inside, it can function like a financial system. A man with regular support from family may have resources others lack. That can create comfort, envy, leverage, or danger depending on how he handles it. Some inmates live carefully, sharing selectively, and avoiding attention. Others spend recklessly, gamble, lend items, or try to buy friendships. That is where problems begin. Debt in prison is rarely just about goods. It is about respect and enforcement. If someone borrows and does not repay, the issue becomes larger than noodles or coffee. It becomes a test of whether rules still matter. Where official justice feels distant, informal justice often replaces it. And informal justice can be swift. Many hard prison stories begin with something that looked small on day one. Gambling thrives wherever boredom and scarcity meet. Prisons have both. Sports bets, card games, improvised dice games, wagers on almost anything that breaks monotony. For some inmates, gambling provides excitement and temporary escape. For others, it becomes the fastest route into danger. Losses create debt. Debt creates pressure. Pressure creates lies, theft, desperation, and violence. A man may promise payment from next commissary. Then family money does not arrive. He may borrow from another person to cover the first debt. Then owe two groups at once. He may hide. But prison has very few places to disappear. By the time officers notice tension, the debt may already have transformed into a security threat. This is why experienced inmates often avoid gambling entirely. They know prison already takes enough chances from a man's life. Adding more can be catastrophic. Administrators in facilities like Stiles face a constant challenge. How do you control visible behavior when the real drivers are often invisible? Cameras can record assaults. They cannot always record motives. Searches can seize weapons. They cannot seize grudges. Transfers can separate enemies. They can also spread conflict to new units. Discipline cases can punish misconduct. They do not automatically change prison culture. This is why some prisons cycle through periods of calm and sudden unrest. The surface looks stable until hidden pressures cross a line. Then a fight erupts in Chow. Then another on the yard. Then a targeted assault in housing. Then lockdown follows. To the public, it seems sudden. Inside, many saw it coming weeks earlier. Some inmates request protective custody. Outsiders sometimes misunderstand this as weakness. In reality, asking for protection can require admitting a dangerous truth: you can no longer survive where you are. Maybe gang pressure became unbearable. Maybe debt escalated. Maybe the inmate informed staff and expects retaliation. Maybe race tensions shifted overnight. Maybe age or illness made daily defense impossible. Protective custody can offer safety from general population threats, but it often comes at a price: isolation, reduced movement, stigma, and a label many inmates fear. Some would rather risk assault than carry that label. That tells you how powerful prison perception can become. Image may hold value even above safety. And that value can destroy people. For many men, family contact is the only thread keeping identity intact. A mother who still visits. A child who still writes. A spouse who still waits. These connections can steady a person through years of confinement. They can also expose pain sharply. A father watches his child become a teenager through monthly visits. A son sees his mother aging faster each year. A marriage strains under distance, loneliness, and mistrust. When visit day ends, the emotional crash can be severe. Some inmates return to housing motivated to change. Others return angry at themselves. Others become reckless because hope now hurts more than numbness. This emotional swing is one reason violence sometimes rises after visiting periods or bad personal news. Prison is not sealed from life outside. It absorbs outside pain and magnifies it. Another force inside prison is hope through the courts. Appeals. Sentence reviews. Legal motions. New evidence claims. Technical arguments. For some inmates, legal work becomes purpose. They study procedures obsessively, help others draft paperwork, and structure years around the next filing date. Hope can be powerful discipline. A man expecting another chance may avoid trouble, educate himself, and preserve mental focus. But failed hope can be devastating. When appeals are denied after years of waiting, some men collapse emotionally. Others become bitter. Some turn reckless because the future they organized around has vanished. Prisons witness both transformations often. The same event that motivates one man can break another. Mental survival inside hard prisons is rarely dramatic. It is repetitive. Wake up. Make bed. Exercise. Read. Count days. Write letters. Avoid arguments. Repeat. Those who cannot build structure often drift into destructive patterns: gambling, gang dependence, drug use, impulsive conflict, emotional volatility. Those who build structure create islands of control in a place designed to remove it. This is why two men can serve similar sentences in the same unit and leave completely different people. One leaves sharpened by discipline. Another leaves damaged by chaos. The prison environment matters. But individual habits matter too. And nowhere is that contrast clearer than inside difficult facilities. After lockdowns, prisons often feel different. Not calmer. Different. Alliances may have shifted behind doors through shouted conversations and hidden notes. Debts may remain unresolved. Rumors may have hardened into certainty. Men emerge studying faces, trying to read what changed while movement was frozen. Sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes the first hour tells the whole story. A quick assault. A coordinated confrontation. A sudden request for transfer. Staff know these moments can be delicate because lockdown pauses tension more often than it cures it. Inside Stiles, reopening after conflict could feel like a reset button or a countdown. In the end, the fear surrounding places like Stiles Unit was never only about brutality. It was about uncertainty. Not knowing which conversation mattered. Not knowing who held influence. Not knowing whether a small mistake would be forgotten or punished. Not knowing whether the next year would pass quietly or violently. Humans can adapt to hardship. What wears them down fastest is unpredictability. And in prisons shaped by hidden power, unpredictability becomes part of the architecture. Some men left Stiles stronger. Some left colder. Some left wiser. Some left carrying habits they needed inside but no longer needed outside: suspicion, emotional distance, hypervigilance, instant aggression. That may be the deepest legacy of hard prisons. The sentence does not always end at the gate. Sometimes it continues in the mind, long after release. Inside places like Stiles Unit, the sentence was measured in years, but the damage was often measured in silence, fear, and what men carried out with them. Some left stronger. Some left broken. Some never truly left at all. If this story stayed with you, subscribe for more real crime and prison documentaries, and share your thoughts below. Until next time, stay aware, because the darkest systems are often the ones hidden in plain sight.